I'm very curious about your opinion actually, because I remember one of the events that caused me to feel this way was because I know how much you like Tony Robbins and how much you
Hmm.
benefited, like greatly benefited from reading his book. Because I remember we
Yeah.
talked about it. Because I went to his seminar and I just remember the first day I came home like crying with tears running down my cheeks, just and I was talking with the coach I was working for, and he told me like what's going on, and I said to him, I just feel like there's so much shit I have to fix inside of myself. There's no way I can ever get done with this work, you know. I
Yeah.
was just so overwhelmed with all this stuff I had to change and do better and all of this and that.
Yeah.
And it was just and I was just like there I'm so far from the goal that this is horrible. um and that was sort of the one of the things that I guess I disagreed with the way that he was doing it on, like Tony Robbins and the event
Yeah.
itself. That for me, at least for my personality and who I am, was not as beneficial. Um, but I guess I always knew that there's multiple sides to it, and now and I'm curious to hear your opinion, and also like all the benefits that you had that I heard from you was
Mm.
incredible to say the least.
Yeah, I really did benefit a lot. But I always thought after like he started my journey into personal development. It was Tony
Mhm.
Robbins. I didn't even know that personal development was a thing at that time. I
Mhm.
was just presented with a book from someone, and she said like you should really read this because you're making a lot of bad decisions in your life, but you're a great guy, but this book will help you. And so I
Wow.
thought,
Okay.
okay,
Was it
I'm.
someone close to you that said that, or was it
It
like
was a
a?
colleague. I was working at a hotel,
Ah.
and I was kind of talking about like I've always been ambitious, and I was always like when we were working together, I was talking about like, oh, I want to do this in the future, and I want to have my own hotel. I remember telling her because I was working in like the reception of a hotel, right? And I was just like, I want to have my own hotel, and I want to make a lot of money, and
Uh-huh.
but at that time I was like smoking weed every day, and like when I went home from work, I did nothing but just like smoke weed and watch movies and like play video games and stuff like that. And so I talked to her a little bit about that, and she tried to be like, uh, do you maybe think that that's a dumb way to live if you want to have your own hotel someday? And then at one point, she just gave me the book and was just like, read this and maybe it will help. And so I started reading it, and I just started immediately applying everything that he said I should do in the book, and it really helped me. Um, and I actually got fired not that long after that
How?
from the
Okay.
hotel, but that was because of cut downs, and
Okay. Okay.
so the book couldn't help me with that. But it really
Uh-huh.
helped me actually with coping with being fired. And I immediately went out. I put up like flyers in the supermarket that I could do whatever, like cut people's grass or like do handiwork at home for like
Mhm.
150 kroners an hour, I think I took for it, and people could just call me up. And so I was like getting into that whole mindset of like you need to do something, you need to put in action, and good stuff will happen and stuff like that, and turn it around to something positive and all of that kind of stuff. And it really helped me, and it helped me throughout my. I read, I got two different diplomas at that time, so I read a lot. Was a lot in school for 2 years. I did normal school in the day and then evening school as well. And
Mhm.
then I just applied everything that Tony Robbins told me to do, and everything worked out really great. So I was like, after that, I worshipped him, and was like, everything that man says is the truth, and and he's amazing, because I
Of
just experienced
course.
that it worked. But
Of course.
afterwards, I was introduced to a lot of other like personal development gurus, and I saw some of his. I saw the documentary, for example, on Netflix about him.
The I'm not your guru.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I actually didn't really like the way that he does his shows, because it
Mhm.
really reminded me of like some preacher You see these kind of like Baptist church events where preachers are like healing people on stage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it really reminded me of that. And then I also at that point found out that he was seriously religious. And not that that's any problem, but that just those two things together just gave me this vibe of like this like crooked online preacher. And I at that point I was like, I'm not saying that he is that. I'm just saying that at that point I remember thinking I'm really happy that I read his book before I was presented with this, because I had a totally different view of him from just reading the book than to watch all of that stuff. And
it's interesting.
Yeah, but I had kind of the same experience as you, that later, after I got my diplomas and I started working and we started the company and everything, I was facing some different challenges than I had before. And so my go-to solution was just, I need to read some self-help books, right? So I would just consume books at a pace that I couldn't handle. Like I didn't apply 90% of what I read. And so but I had all this knowledge in my head. That was kind of a good thing, I think, because I was reading about personal finance and like psychology and how to influence people and all of these different things. And the knowledge was there in my head, and I could kind of use it sometimes when I remembered it. But also I got the kind of the same feeling that you got, that I have all of this stuff that I should do, because all of these books say that I should do this, and I'm just not doing 90% of it. And that really stresses me out, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing ever. Like I can't live up to all of this advice that I have listened to. I can't follow all of it. And so it just like makes me feel bad. Yeah. So at some point I kind of realized that I needed to kind of put that aside for some time and just try and find my own solutions to things. And yeah, so I had kind of the same experience as you, that at some point it just becomes overwhelming, all of these things that you are told that you should do, that you're just not doing because you don't have time and you can't do everything at the same time, right? So at that point I felt like it was more of it made me feel worse instead of making me feel better and actually solving things for me. But I still think to this day that, and I have picked it up again a little bit, like I follow some guys on and off, but I also know that there's a limit to how much I can, like I've got a way more balanced view of it now, and view of myself. And I totally forgot what I was saying with that. So yeah, but that's one thing to keep in mind, I think.
But one thing I'm curious about is how you, because it sounds like such an extreme transition that you made from when you worked in the hotel, you were smoking weed every day, to then you just pick up a book and then just instantly start like applying it. Because to me that sounds insane. I would never imagine someone being that quick with like without any resistance making that. Because when you said it, I got this feeling like you were really quick at just changing your life like that. And I also remember from working with you, I was super impressed with your work ethic, and still am, like from what I see. You know, obviously I don't see your day to day, but with the like speed that you can just attack things by, and with the seamless little resistance you have to applying everything and all of these things.
Yeah.
So how did you go from when you were smoking weed? How was that transition for you?
Well, it was not like I stopped smoking weed from one day to another. That kept on. I actually, one of the things, because that was one of the things that Anthony Robbins wrote in the book, was that it's best to start with one thing you want to change about yourself or your life or your habits. And that was smoking cigarettes for me. That was the first thing, the first step I took. But I think the reason why I was so quick to adapt what was in the book was that I was looking for it. As I've been thinking a lot about that later in life, like why did that book help me so much, especially when I felt that personal development stopped helping me. I was kind of wondering, why did it help me in the beginning and why doesn't it help me now? And I just think that there's this saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will show himself, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And I think that was it. I had for a long time been feeling kind of stuck and not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And I just had these like bullshit things, I would say, that when people asked me what I wanted to do with my life, I was always like, I want to get rich. I was just said. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, but I know that the first step to getting rich is to decide that you want to get rich. So I've taken the first step. And that was kind of this, I was kind of like,
I love that.
This bullshit answer. I just always answered people when they asked me because I didn't know. And to be honest, I was so terrified that I did not know what to do with my life. And everyone else seemed to know and seemed to be moving in a direction. And so I had, before I worked at that hotel, I had been to France. That was kind of my escape from everything. And I was like, well, I might as well find it. I was a dishwasher at a hotel in France for 7 months. Just because I wanted to like see something else than Denmark and searching for jobs in Denmark. And so after that, I went to that hotel, and I just think at that time I had kind of told myself that was what I wanted to do. I want to work in hotels and I want to have my own hotel, and that's how I'm going to get rich. So now I know. And yeah, I just think that deep inside, I was just really confused about who I was and what I wanted to do in life. And so I was very open to suggestions from people about who I was or what I should get out of my life. And yeah, I just think it was that I was searching for answers anywhere that I could get them. I think that was also why I kept telling people. Like I said, I was talking to this colleague of mine who gave me the book. I always was talking to her about my future plans. I think that was kind of to kind of get reactions from people and see like what will they say if I just am really ambitious about where I'm going. And yeah, I think I was searching for answers, I think, at that point. And that was why I was so quick to adapt.
Probably also why she was, open to even giving you that book as well. Because I imagine that most people would not be like, hey, you should read this book. Here, let me give you the book. They will just be like, oh yeah, good for you, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and it worked out. And that was the thing that I was saying before that I forgot, was that in the end, I think it worked out, right? Just like with you, that it might have been a struggle at points, and I might have hit points where I felt really bad about myself also later. But in the end, it was good that I went into self-development, because it showed me so many things that I hadn't seen if I hadn't done that. And even though you can go wrong direction, that can also be
100%
the right thing to do, because then you learn something. Then you find out, oh, that's a wrong direction. I need to do something else, right?
That's so true.